In a lot of cases, the reasons why a student is rejected is because they failed to actually include one of these items. So maybe, for example, they forgot to include an English language certificate like IELTS, TOEFL or Pearson's. Or maybe their academic grades are not quite high enough for the university's intake. So my advice before you apply to any university is to go to the country page on the university, and it's the same at Liverpool, that we'll have a page for Kazakhstan. It'll say what the normal entry requirements are in terms of GPA required, it'll say what the English language level requirements are, and it will also give some details about what programs you need to have done before you can apply for the program at the university. As long as you read through that sort of information, I think most students should be successful in submitting an application.
The number one thing, which is actually, you won't believe how many applications are rejected just because they don't meet the academic requirement. I mean, every university has set up their own academic requirements. For example, they may be asking 4 out of 5 grade as far as average grade point, like the GPA point, for example. So quite often students who do apply, they don't actually meet the minimum requirement, and I think that's one of the reasons, if not the biggest reason. So in this case, I think it's very important for students to really find out what is the minimum grade that I have to have in order to apply to that particular university, because there are a lot of different universities who may accept that particular student with a bit of lower grade. So that's one of the things. And the second thing, especially if they're applying for a master's degree, a lot of programs, they require some kind of what should I say, prerequisite. For example, if you are a biologist, and if you want to do a master's in psychology, for example, that would be fine, but most of the time the other way around it won't work, because you have to have this science background, science bachelor's degree. So that's another reason, they're having some of the prerequisite courses or the prerequisite bachelor's degree. So that could be another. And I mean, there are a lot of factors that do go into this, but what students need to remember is that they're applying, and we don't see the students, we haven't talked to them. The only thing we have is in front of us is the application package. So you want to make sure that you check all the grammar. I mean, there's no silly mistakes. Just proofread it once again. Do your best when you write your essays, and and maybe also hope and have a little bit of luck.
I think obviously not completing the form completely. Some people forget to submit the required documents. When we're looking for international documents, we want original transcripts and translated transcripts that need to be stamped and approved. It's the same for anything if you've got references. We look for a sort of minimum of 1 to 2 references from an employer or academic, but these again need to be translated and approved. So it's just a case of really sitting down, making sure you've got all the right documents, making sure that you've maybe contacted the likes of me at the international office and looked at the entry requirements to make sure that you do pretty much match the entry requirements. Different universities at different levels have different entry requirements. So a lot of the rejections are when students are applying to universities that they're just maybe too below for GPA and English. So make sure you research the universities, speak to the international officers like myself and say, I'm interested in doing this. And then also when you're applying on the application form, make sure you get original and translated documents.
The first one would be IELTS, that they don't meet the IELTS level of universities. That would be a very big reason. The other one as well, at postgraduate level, students quite often will have had to study some components, some similar subjects at undergraduate level. So that can also be a reason why a student will be rejected, because they haven't done the necessary subject at undergraduate level. So that's why it's so important to research courses and individual universities very carefully to check that the student is applying for the right course for them, that will increase their interest or broaden their subject knowledge of what particular subject they want to study.
Most common reasons for rejection are that students they don't have the required grades. Typically, when a student applies to the university, either undergraduate or postgraduate, they'll be studying at high school or their bachelor's degree, so they're planning one step in advance. So most of the offers that the university gives out will be conditional offers based on achieving a certain grade academically in their current level of study, either at high school or in their bachelor's degree. So typically we will give most people the benefit of the doubt. If they're trying hard enough, their predicted reasonable grades that we would accept, then they should receive an offer subject to meeting the other criteria and their personal statement and so on. However, the students who do get rejected, they are the students who don't meet our academic minimum entry criteria. Beyond that, the majority of people would be considered for entry.
Самые частые причины – это то, что студент невнимательно почитал требования курса и подал документы не туда, куда его могли бы взять. Это максимально частая причина отказа. Потому что в каждом entry requirements, вот такой вот коротенький текст в описании курса, там написано, кого они берут, при каких условиях, с какими результатами и так далее. Но часто случается так, что студенты это читают, но, может быть, невнимательно относятся. Считают, что, я в принципе подхожу, хотя и не очень, но мало ли что. На самом деле, вот все, что там описано, оно описано, может быть, там какими-то словами, достаточно обтекаемыми. Это важно. Если сказано, что для курса нужна математика, нужно знание высшей математики, оно нужно. Они посмотрят на ваш транскрипт, проверят, сколько у вас было часов по высшей математике, какие оценки. Если низкие или не было высшей математики, они откажут.